All right, so in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about decimals. So a decimal is any number that is on the right side of the decimal place. So you'll see a couple of examples here. So let's first talk about tenths. It's the very first decimal. And when we think about the decimal of tenths, we need to realize that it is 10 times smaller than a whole number. So hence the name 1/10 is written as 1/10 as a fraction, and it's written as 0.1 as a decimal, and it is 10 times smaller than a whole number. All right, then we go to hundredths, and we have 1/100. It is written as 0.01, and that's a decimal point, and we would say this number as 100th with a THS. So notice all of these have a THS on the end. Okay, so distinguishes them a little different from a whole number. Then we go into 1,000ths, and this is 1,000 times smaller than a whole number. So when we think of the whole number 1, this is 1,000 times smaller. So it's a very small amount, and it is written as 0.001. Now again, these zeros in the front are actually optional, but it is the most acceptable way to write them is with the zeros in the front, showing you have no whole numbers. All right. So again, this is going to be 10 times smaller, so we could say, okay, it's like dividing by 10. This is like dividing a whole number by 100. And this is like dividing a whole number by 1,000. So when we think about that, these are very small amounts. So the closest thing we have that would represent the value of a decimal of 0.1 would be a dime. So if you were to think about 10 cents, 10 cents would be the value of 1/10. If you were to take a dollar or a whole number and divide it by 100, you would get 0.01. And when we think of that, that's like having 1 penny. Now imagine taking the value of a penny and dividing it 10 more times, okay? Then you're going to get a very small amount, okay? So that's just a little bit about decimals. All right, so let's talk a little bit about these fractions over here. We're going to be taking these fractions and writing them as decimals following the examples here. So when we look at the first one, it's 4/10. Now to write this, I know that I'm going to have one decimal place because it is a tenth, and that means I'm going to have one decimal place. So this one is just going to be written as 4, and I can put the 0 in the front, showing there are no whole numbers, okay? All right, the next one is going to be hundredth, and because I see that it's hundredths, that tells me there's going to be 2 decimal places in this particular decimal. And since I have a 23, I'm just going to write 23 hundredths. All right, so notice that I have 2 decimal places because it's a hundredth, okay? And I can put my 0 in front, showing there are no whole numbers. All right, let's take a look at the last one. On this last one, it is 384 thousandths. Now, you always say the decimal just like it's written, 384, okay? So we're going to have 3 decimal places because this is 1,000ths, and that's with the THS. So we're going to put 384 there, and we can put our 0 showing there are no whole numbers, and notice we have 3 decimal places because this was 1,000ths.